election time. The Struggle is ready to bring you everything you need to know come November with our panel of experts. Stick around till the end of the show for that. Welcome to The Struggle. I'm your new host, V-Elect, and on the show tonight, Alyssa invents a new joke.
Why the long face?
Pauline Hanson joins the show. And
Great.
I get the treatment I deserve. But first, did you know that out of all Australian states and territories, Victoria has the most tennis coaches? Well, you wouldn't if those 1,035 Victorian tennis coaches hadn't provided such invaluable data when filling out their census. Tomorrow night is Census Night, a special evening that comes around every 5 years where every single person currently residing in Australia must fill out a 66-question survey or cop $3,600 in fines. Before you all shout, boo, I don't want to fill out a form, or why does the government need to know how many bedrooms my house has? And why can't they just scrape all this data off Facebook? Remember, how else will Pauline Hanson keep track of her many, many candidates she's put forward? The census asks simple and concise questions about who you are as a person. Should be easy enough, right? I've met myself plenty of times. Let's see. What is this person's religion? Some advocates say the census overestimates the number of Australians who are religious. After years of calls to rephrase the question, the census itself commissioned a survey about their survey question, but ultimately decided to keep the original. I don't believe in God or attend church, so I'll tick no religion. Though, I do eat fish on Good Friday. Sure, it's a question about me, but the census is designed to inform funding, so I should really be asking myself if I would benefit from more funding for religious institutions. Again, I don't attend church, so no. But I was really into those pretty architectural churches on my last Euro summer. Maybe with some more funding, we could have the vaulted trinocular cathedral-inspired caverns of the Metro Tunnel on an actual cathedral. If only Jacinta had more time. Even some religious institutions, like the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, have instructed their patrons to tick no religion to avoid exorbitant funding going to Christian churches. Ironic for a religion that's whole shtick is being documented. There'll also be questions about your workplace, housing situation, and gay people will finally be viewed as no more than a statistic. That's what they were asking for, right? Like all news organisations, here at The Struggle, we have a strong agenda. But to avoid the pain of indoctrinating our viewers with subtle political messages over years of coverage, we thought it would be easier to just tell you what to write for each question in our very own downloadable PDF census cheat sheet. Now, I'd really love an airport rail link to Avalon, of course. So if you could all just say that you live in Geelong and fly to work, that should give Ben Carroll some ideas. Next question. I can't tell them what to write? Just like the census, a journalist's job is to document, particularly exposing the inner workings of our parliament to uphold the principles of our democracy. Unless they're barred from entering the room. Then, well, I don't know what they do. Start a band? Apply for the dole? Perhaps our first correspondent has a better idea.
Dear Pauline Hanson, we would like to invite you to join us in the first episode of the new season of The Struggle. Obviously, we are not the ABC or The Guardian. I personally would love to interview you, ginger to ginger, just to clear up any misconceptions that may have come as a result of you not having any real journalists to question you at your recent conference. Welcome, Pauline! So, Pauline, One Nation candidate Warren Pickering said that Victoria is the most morally bankrupt state. Why is that? And how do you intend on swaying the voters?
Well, don't you remember the 2023 referendum? You people almost voted yes. And when you walk around the awful crime-ridden streets of Melbourne, trying to find a white person becomes like playing a game of Where's Wally.
Yeah, whoa, yeah. So, Pauline, what has One Nation actually achieved so far?
We're topping polls.
How about on the political side, though? I mean, as a political party, you must have some policies.
We have 8 Victorian candidates.
How about the other states?
We're getting there.
Pauline, why is it taking so long to be able to find people who want to work with you on these issues?
I would like to go past that question. You people are assigned to remind me of the alphabet with those questions.
Sorry about that. So, what policies have you guys come up with recently?
Every month up until the election, we will have a trivia night, $50 entry, no discounts, AI logo, and a median age of 70.
I think the voters are wondering more on your political policies, like budget or how you plan to enact some of your promises.
Our voters don't want to hear none of your politics. They want the national debt slashed, no more wokeness, and less immigration and boats.
Pauline, I want to have an honest moment with you right now. I am not bullying you. I just want to make an observation.
Sounds pretty biased to me.
Would you not consider your methods of lowering national debt by reducing minimum wages, increasing tax and cutting funding from schools and renewable energies a bit detrimental to the development of this country?
Absolutely not.
And some of your takes on immigration and crime, some would say, are stemmed in some racist ideologies that you've been criticised for in the past.
Here we go. More of this woke bullying. What can you people do except play the race card and complain about things?
Shut up, right?
Yellow is the colour of the struggle, and what makes us entirely different from the ABC? That and our extremely popular Love Guru.
Hey girl, I'm Toby, the Struggle's love correspondent. Tonight, I've got a special request from the people of Victoria. Let's take a look. Dear Toby, I recently broke up with our Premier Jacinta Allan. I guess you could describe it as a spill. I wanted to know that we would last another 4 years, but I guess Miss Allan resigned herself to a different fate.
I've made the difficult decision to step aside as leader of the Victorian State Parliamentary Labor Party and as Premier of Victoria.
Now I'm with Ben Carroll and he just isn't what I wanted when I renewed my vows with Labor 4 years ago.
I am not Daniel Andrews. I am not Jacinta Allan.
Help me, Toby. What do I do? Now this is from disillusioned Labor voter who lives in marginal seat. Well, disillusioned Labor voter, I think it's important to remember that people and cabinets can change. Sometimes they grow, or in your case, shrink, when 2 ministries are abolished. Circumstances change, just like they did when Ben Carroll said he wanted his daughter to know he would always support a female premier. Until 2 weeks later, of course.
How can Victorians possibly believe this Premier can act with integrity when governing Victoria when he can't even be honest with his own daughter?
It's important to reflect between what you had and what you have now. Under Allan's government, Royal Melbourne Hospital doctors weren't striking. Under Carroll's, they're going to. Coincidence? Probably. Look, sudden changes like these are surely going to leave yourself asking if you would prefer the person you loved to slowly break up with you over the course of 4 months. Unfortunately, I can't make that choice for you. So in case you're still feeling uneasy, girls, just have some fun. Enjoy how they'll somehow cover a Royal Commission into the CFMEU, Minister for Artificial Intelligence, and an evaluation of the SRL in the 9 sitting days before the election. Just know, we all have rebounds before settling down into another proper long-term relationship.
Well, I sure am feeling the love. But you know what else I love? Money, power and bad podcasts. Speaking of, we were recently confused when some of Australia's most tolerated media personalities sent through this tape as an audition to join the show.
Men. Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the favourite podcast for all of you out there who aren't woke, and aren't we? It's I'm white, polite, and always right.
Yeah, that's right.
As always, I'd like to welcome back my co-hosts, 2 exceptional gentlemen, must I say, who are never wrong. Husey, Kyle, welcome back, fellas.
Oh, Carl, I'd say happy to be here. But after being driven here by my chauffeur and having to hear him complain about all the potholes, I just can't be happy.
You poor thing. Well, fellas, it's been a big week in the woke world we live in, and there's lots to get through. But I thought we'd start with some really exciting news for some of our dear friends of the great man, Warren Pickering and Mark Nicholson. They've been announced as candidates for the mighty One Nation at the Ditch the Witch election in November, right here in the state of Victoria.
Can we still call it that if the witch has already been...
I think it's fantastic to award you, Warren, you know, for all his hard work. He leads the party in Victoria for such distinction and, you know, so many years now. All these elections he's led the party out with no success. It's a sham. People need to wake up.
Oh, yeah. I think third time really will be the charm. Yeah, and Mark's videos are just so funny. People will love them. They're gonna have to vote for him.
Oh, absolutely, Dave. Easy there, mate. And gents, another big story of the week, which I did say, must I say, saw exceptionally reported on News 24, and must I say, how glorious does Peter Credlin look with the new branding? Oh, Tony'd be up and about. The big story for the week, it was the witch hunt against our friend dear old Allan, and the man's a legend, and now these charges of him sexually assaulting people. Oh, what a joke. Yeah, poor Allan. Seriously, truly a broadcasting giant. Yeah, facing the witch hunt of a lifetime.
Speaking of a joke, did you see what they did to the Queen?
Oh, I did. It's actually a disgrace. They winged Gina. Oh, poor Gina. I couldn't believe it. I called her straight away. These nasty wokes. No respect for women. None of them. Just treat them like objects. It's inhumane. Oh, people who objectify women are disgraces. Especially those who profit from misogyny. I couldn't have said it better myself, Kyle. On that note, we'll have time for that next week. But next week we'll be back, and as always, remember, kids, being right is right. Men.
You know, I'm a Patreon supporter. Day one fan over here. I just love how they tell it like it isn't. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. Not long after we announced our South Australian struggle invasion, I began noticing all these dead birds on my beach walks. I figured it must just be like when cats bring dead birds to their masters. I'm sure there's no ill will involved. They're just so thrilled to have us. They sent us a little gift.
Everyone ready to go? Okay. Like iced coffee, H5 bird flu has surfaced in South Australia and spread all over the country.
We can confirm that the first cases found were detected in migratory coastal birds. Up until the 5th of August, the highly pathogenic H5N1 virus has been detected over 78 wild birds across mainland Australia.
This concern in local seagulls is important due to their movements, allowing the chance of the virus to spread to different groups of bird species. They're not exactly keeping it under the wing.
Well, but wait. Does that mean there is a chance of an outbreak among domestic chickens?
Yes, chickens are highly susceptible and the virus can spread rapidly once it enters a flock. It can be carried in infected wild bird droppings, respiratory fluids, contaminated water, footwear and equipment.
Well, has it reached poultry farms?
No cases confirmed yet, but authorities are considering whether free-range chickens may need to stay housed indoors to reduce that exposure. And personally, I don't wish for those watching to start panic stocking your eggs, but our fellow crow eaters, please don't actually follow through on it. Apologies for that joke. It may not hatch well.
Man, I guess I have to win it for lunch.
Save those puns. What if someone was to find a dead or sick bird?
They're advised not to touch or attempt to rescue it. Children and pets should be kept away from unusual birth deaths. Those being any death not caused by flying to a window, KFC fires, or wind turbines.
And there are plenty of symptoms attached.
Symptoms of bird flu in human can range from mild illness to severe diseases, like the common flu, which symptoms like fever, cough, tiredness, muscle aches, sore throat, shortness of breath, and etc.
Remain on alert, follow official health advice, get the seasonal influenza vaccine, and never handle sick or dead wildlife yourself.
And if you do spot one, don't just tweet about it. Report it!
That was Dr. Ethan and Assistant Roy at the South Australian Press Club. Australian drivers have been accelerating slowly, as the slashed fuel excises ended and prices have yet again triggered a unanimous groan from commuters. Except me, who's always more than delighted to spend exorbitant funds on driving an imported toaster. As the situation continues to spin out in the Middle East, Australians remain at the mercy of Big Fossil. While the majority of us are sacrificing Wheat Bix for the dreaded wheat biscuit, some companies are taking leaps towards renewable future using some agricultural material. I'll pass over to our organic transport correspondent for more details.
Thanks, Violette. The situation here is absolutely heinous. Why use fine agricultural material when you could just cut out the middleman and return to old trusty? While it might have been out of fashion since the early 1900s, with the constant fluctuation of fuel prices, we couldn't blame the population for wanting to turn to some horsepower. Why go to the effort of organising molecules in straw fibres into synthetic hydrocarbon chains to make a compatible diesel fuel when you could get it directly into the horse's mouth?
So you're saying drivers should just ride horses? Wouldn't that be a bit slower?
Why not? I call it healthy competition. Anywhere from 1 to 15 horsepower is more than enough to compete with these hopeless V8 engines you see hooning on the streets, spitting petrol and waking the neighbours.
Seems like riding a horse to work would be a bit of a waste of time.
Glass Energy, using 70,000 tonnes of hay to produce 20 million litres of biofuel you can mix with standard diesel at any time, is a total waste. A tonne of hay feeds around 100 horses, so the total amount would feed 700,000 horses. That's more cars off the road and a more leisurely way to work.
What about efficiency, infrastructure, horseshoes, cup holders?
But what about the $400 million commercial-scale renewable diesel refinery those Western Australian nerds have proposed in the name of environmentalism and minimising vulnerability? Fine agricultural material should be used the way it always has. Keep it simple. Keep horsing around. Back to you in the studio.
I suppose it's an interesting way to put it. Here's another way to put something entirely different.
If there's one thing that unites us as Australians, it's our complete lack of respect for our national animals. Whether we're sticking them on the grill, challenging them to a fist fight, or making them cuddle up with Tony Abbott, we couldn't make our disdain more clear. They may be on our coins, but don't get it twisted. It's us or them. On the front lines of this battle are the farmers whose crops and livestock are at risk. One of the affected is this Victorian man who is requesting almost $40,000 from the government as reparations for the 16 sheep and 145 lambs reportedly lost from dingo attacks. The threat of extinction, their status as a protected species, and their significance amongst Indigenous peoples has made these puppies a contentious issue. While culling the dingo population was a quick fix, new protections beginning in 2024 restrict this practice to protect the endangered animal and the role they have in the Australian ecosystem. Other solutions, including a 70-kilometre long fence subsidised by the Victorian government, haven't done much to quell farmers' fears. This isn't the first time that we've waged a war on our wildlife, and some think the solution may be just as simple as it was back in the day. Here's what one local veteran had to say.
November 1932. Those feathered demons stormed our farmlands and gobbled up our crops. 94 years of sleepless nights since. I couldn't care less about the dingo's dwindling population. We've been down this road before. There's only one option. We culled the kangas, we can destroy the dogs. Never forget what they took from us.
Strong words there. Officials say they'll continue trying to balance protecting farmers, conserving Australia's apex predator, and preventing the nation's wildlife from forming what appears to be a very determined union.
That was Emma Rose with the finance and some cooker we found at Hastings Station. We'll be right back. Welcome back. What's brown and sticky? A stick. Why can't a nose be 12 inches long? Because then it would be a foot. What's gross and creepy? Someone with metaglasses.
In the beginning of time, there was Mark. Mark roamed the lands looking for females to rank, for a database of young women that could both increase his incel and development skills. And so was born Facebook. Many moons later, the performance continued with the use of Zuck's meta glasses. utilised by creeps all over the world to film people without their consent or knowledge. Not to mention the ethics of AI usage, which we're all too aware of. These glasses have spiked up concerns globally of privacy issues. But now you can purchase these previously inaccessible glasses for the duped low price of $89. And your moral integrity? Kmart's Anko brand camera glasses have eyebrows raised across the country and your privacy at a cheaper price. Tom Sulston, head of policy at Digital Rights Watch, says that glasses like these are a privacy nightmare and that Australian law can't keep up with the rapid change of technology. A spokesperson from Kmart said the Anko glasses are part of an established and increasingly mainstream category of wearable technology, which begs the question, will the filming and recording of the public become the norm? In order to stay ahead of the times, we've used these brand new Kmart glasses to see what strugglers really have to say.
Stop fanning so fast, it's irking me out. Grape?
Hi Violette. I was wondering if maybe you wanted to do a segment this week that didn't include any props, just to, diversify the show a little bit.
I don't remember giving my workers the permission to tell me what to do on my show.
What? This is mistreatment. This is mistreatment.
You filming me? Mate, you filming me?
No.
Stop staring. Everyone knows newsreaders don't wear pants. Just as this desk censors everything I would prefer our loyal viewers don't see, filmmakers are churning out new POVO-proof forms of gatekeeping, returning to an age before feature-length films were enjoyed on smartwatches and cut into 63 reels to avoid subscriptions.
It's been quite a time for the box office in the last month. IMAX has become the newfound home away from home for The Odyssey. Despite its success, The Odyssey has angered filmgoers who believe this film experience to be elitist cinema. You see, the only way to experience the film in Nolan's intended vision is in IMAX 70mm. The side problem, there's only 41 IMAX cinemas in the world, predominantly in America, and only one in the Southern Hemisphere, Melbourne. The reduced image size has raised questions by critics and audiences alike if Christopher Nolan's innovation is pushing away audiences who cannot afford the IMAX experience.
In a similar vein, Spider-Man Brand New Day was bestowed the privilege of being the first production shot for Screen X, with 270-degree projection overwhelms the viewer. Joined by Australian cinema's very own D-Box, Apex, and other draft names for Hi-Res X Trilogy, some may say the options for screening nowadays are too much. Personally, I'm finding myself drawn to VMAX. Interestingly, unlike the discussions surrounding The Odyssey, little has been said about Spidey and the exclusivity of Screen X.
This is reflected in its shattering of box office records as it webbed in $169.8 million on its global Brand New Day. For reference, that's $149.3 million more than 2009's Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Squeakquel. My spidey senses, well, they're telling me that life might be actually thwipped back into the cinema industry. Cinema may be back. And on that note, back to you in the studio.
Movies. I saw one once. What a terrible mistake. Once I watched a horror movie side by side with a kids' movie so it wouldn't be so scary. Feels like a metaphor for something. Anyway, here's the property market.
Hey there, I'm Bill Ding, and for the first time in a long time, housing prices have taken a slight slump. You might think of this as an opportunity for first home buyers to finally get a residential property. But don't worry, we'll kick them while the market's down. This practice, called land maxing by domain, is actually a revival of the classic strategy of capitalizing on your existing equity to buy your neighbor's block as well. This is already happening in New Zealand. They're like a satellite city, but for all of Australia. Family homes and the value of community. What would you rather leave behind? A loving family or a dashing property portfolio? It's the best time to make sure that the pickings are slim and your pockets are fat. Of course, this is not to be confused with the age-old practice of land banking, where instead of sitting on your land and watching the value, you capitalize on the power trip to quietly expand your property portfolio. I wonder what land maxing will look like in Victoria when it inevitably hits our shores. Maybe Adrian Portelli could buy that other tower. Maybe Federation Square could buy Flinders Street and clean it. Andy Lee could buy the house next to his and expand his mansion.
Well, now we've covered all the important news. I just can't shake the feeling I'm forgetting something. The state election. We've got a shiny new panel for that. I'm not sure where they've gone. The struggle. It's real.